Now before we start using Respondus to create our own test questions and download them, let's set up where we want to download them. These are my current courses, these are my last semester courses, so I'm going to actually go into this one. So I'm just going to go up here and go to content area, and I'm going to type in term test 2, and you can make it available to users and just say submit. So again, I'm just going to go up here, I'm going to say content area, I'm going to say term test 2, and I'm going to say make it available to users and submit. So let's launch Respondus, and what we're going to do first is open, because there is an existing set of test questions here in something called world history. So we just double click on this and it brings up this window, and there can be multiple choice, true, false, essay, short answer, matching, and so forth, and this has a variety of those kinds of questions in here. And if we actually go here and look at expanded view, it comes up and shows us these kind of questions, and at any point we can just click on this and see what that question would look like. Who was considered the first father of psychoanalysis? And obviously it's number 1, but it can randomly switch these around for you. So I'm just going to say OK. I can close that and go back to this view. So you can create your own stuff, but let's take a look at using this and how we would actually put that on Blackboard as a test and configure it. So let's take a look at settings, and we can make up something called random blocks, and these are pretty cool. So we have a number of questions here, and the way it works is this. Let's just say I want sculptor and composer, but I only want one of these to be used on a test. So it might have sculptor on one version of the test, it may have composer on the other, but I don't want both. So what you can do is you can say, let's go here, click on this, and you're going to mention based on which question you've got here. So I'm going to put in a 1, but do not hit enter. I'm going to put a 2 here. Again, do not use enter. And then it says how many questions should be randomly selected during the exam. I'm going to just put down 1. So it's going to pick one of these 2. And then what you can do here, you can specify what the point value is for this question. Now, when you use things like Scantron, you can only have 1 mark per question. So this is really cool, because I can make these where it say 2 marks, and then I can say add new set. And so what we have here is we've got A as our new set, and it's only going to pick one of these at random, or this one, but not both. And we may have some questions that we want all the students to answer and have them the same. So let's just say these 3 we want to have everybody answer. So we might want to do smallpox, penicillin, and psychoanalysis. So let's do 6 to 8. 6 to 8. And we can say let's select 2 of these, and let's make these worth 3 marks each. And then I can say add new set. So it's going to pick one of these 2 for 2 marks each. It's going to pick 2 of these for 3 marks each. And if I want to change this at any point, let's just say I want to get rid of that. Maybe I don't want this set up this way. You can always go back and say modify existing set. You can click here and drop down. Let's say let's get rid of the B set. That's 3 is too much. And we can just change this here to be the how much weighting if we want to just change that. Or we can just do a complete delete complete set. So this gives you the ability to actually say how many of these questions, so that every student is going to get a slightly different test when they're coming up. So when we say OK, that's already been done. Now we can go from here to preview and publish, and we can take a look at the preview of the file, and we can say OK, there's the first question, here's the second question, so you can sort of review yourself as you're going through this. The next step is to publish. And this is where it gets a little tricky, so you got to be extremely careful with this. So let's do the publish wizard. Now the best way to actually do this is to publish to multiple courses. I have the A, C, and D, F, so I'm going to hit this. And before we have anything, what we have to do is go here and add new server. And so we're going to do that. And we're going to say use one that has pre-configured settings. And we're going to say yes. And then all we have to do in here is type Seneca College. And it's going to know all the settings and so on for that. Now it says log into Blackboard using the browser window, then close. We're going to say OK. And what you're going to do is type in your name and sign in. Now what you want to do is accept the terms here and then close after login. Now this is extremely important. Do not hit the OK, but hit this button here. Now when you do, you have to wait. And do not hit the next button either, just wait. It's trying to log in right now, and it should come up and say test completed successfully. And at that point we're going to hit next. And if we hit finish, it's going to ask us to do this again. And so we have to do this twice. We're going to say OK. We're going to log in again. So again, we're going to say OK. We're going to say close after login. And again, we're going to hit this window here. And again, we're just going to wait. And right away, it drops into our course. Now, these are my current things. And what we want to do is go and put these into 2 courses from last semester. So I'm going to AC. And I'm going to go down here to DF. And I'm going to say next. Now what we've done is we've set up here term test 2. So all we have to do is select that and click here and say next. And right now it's going to load those test questions into AC, and it's going to load those test questions also into our DF section. And here we're finished. Notice it says 2 courses, 0 errors, 2 warnings. So we're just going to say finish, and we're done. Now if you were to check the full grade center, you're going to see that there's a new column in there called World History. And as soon as the students do their test, their marks for that test will be in that column in the full grade center. So it does all the marking for you. Isn't that cool? Now some of the things you can do is put in a thing here that says here's the time frame for your test. Make sure you don't overrun the time. You probably want to check open test in new window. And you can say make available to the students, even though it won't be available right away if we change the timing, as we'll see. You might want to add a new announcement for the test coming up. And what you want to do is force completion. It has to be done in one sitting. Set the timer. So if you want to give them 2 hours, that's 120 minutes. And you want to turn auto submit on so it submits at the end of that 120 minutes, whether they're finished or not. And then you can say, okay, let's display. We got it on the Monday, on the 30th. And we'd say, okay, maybe when does their test start? Let's just say that it starts at 10:45. So we can type in 10:30 or click on 10:30, change this to 10:45. And then that's set. And then we also want to say it's going to be a 2-hour test. So let's go here. And again, it's the same day. So we just have to change the time now. So that should be, what is it, 12:45? So let's go here and go down here to where it says 12:30, and we'll change that to 12:45. And when we do that, we'll also have to go down here and say the due date is the same thing at 12:45. So let's go down here, this date, and again 12:45. So those are some of the basic things. Some of the other things you want to do is we do not want them to get any kind of feedback, because if they get feedback after they submitted their test, they'll say here's your answers for all the questions and you got maybe something right or something wrong. They can actually copy and paste that and send it to their friends as if they do the test quicker than the other guys do, or as there's another section writing the test later. So what we're going to do is say after attempts are graded. Now here's some of the things that you should really be careful with. You typically don't want to do all at once. One at a time is good because that's good. Now you don't want to ever use prohibit backtracking, because if a student comes up to a question and says, well, I can't figure that out, they want to go ahead. And then maybe they want to come back later to check that and make a change before the end of the test. If you prohibit backtracking, they can't do that. And randomized questions for each test attempt, we want to click on that and say submit. So this is how we want to set up our testing, and we're ready to go to let them do, whoops, the end date cannot be earlier than the start date. So what do we got here? Oh, the 30th, I forgot to change that. So it checks things pretty thoroughly. So let's just make that quick change, do a submit, and everything's ready to go. Now this will become active during the time that it says here at 10:45. Now if you want, you can actually play with this a bit and just see how it works. So we can just say begin, and it's going to do this. And we can say true or false, and we can go to the next question. This is what they're going to do. And you say, oh, maybe I made a mistake. And as long as you don't have backtracking turned on, you can go back and make a change here until you finally want to submit the test. Now the beauty is, as I said, whatever the test responses are, the marking is done for you and stored in gradebook under World History. So you'll see a column in that gradebook with World History with it all pre-marked. And again, it's a lot better in some regards than the Scantron because you got different weightings for different questions, which is really cool.